Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 1055 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Russians, leveraging their superiority in assets and personnel, are actively advancing near Pokrovsk in Donetsk Oblast, aiming to capture nearby villages to partially encircle the city, reports Ukrainska Pravda. Viktor Trigubov, spokesman for the Khortytsia operational group of forces, said that there are a number of small settlements near Pokrovsk, and the Russians are trying to grab hold of every house there and advance further. Trigubov pointed out that the Russian forces are attempting to partially encircle Pokrovsk and gain control of a forested area that serves as a supply route to the city. Quote, I wouldn't say they've succeeded so far, though they are trying hard and have significant resources at their disposal. First and foremost, in terms of personnel, technical and logistical resources, unquote, he stressed. On 11th of January, Ukrainian forces reported that Russian troops had opted against a direct assault on Pokrovsk. Instead, they are attempting to bypass the city from the south to the west, aiming to advance towards Dnipro Oblast. The head of the Pokrovsk city military administration, Sergei Dobryak, reported increased shelling of the city by Russian troops. According to Dobryak, Russian troops are less than 3 kilometers from the city. The U.S. Institute for the Study of War informed that Russian forces recently cut the Pokrovsk-Konstantinivka highway east of Pokrovsk and the Pokrovsk-Mazhova highway southwest of Pokrovsk as part of their efforts to envelop Pokrovsk and Birnograd. Russian forces likely intend to interdict Ukrainian ground lines of communication into Pokrovsk and Birnograd in order to force Ukrainian units to withdraw from the towns in future months. We would really appreciate if you could recommend us to your friends and family, as well as share information on social media. This way more people would learn about the podcast and truth about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky had a telephone conversation with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron, reports European Pravda. According to Zelensky, he discussed with Macron the situation on the battlefield, in particular the successes of Ukrainian forces in the Kursk operation, and agreed to cooperate with allies to develop effective security guarantees. Quote, as one of such guarantees, we discussed the French initiative to deploy military contingents in Ukraine. We considered practical steps for its implementation, possible expansion and involvement of other countries in this process, unquote, Zelensky added. In December, the Ukrainian leader admitted that at meetings in Brussels in December, the idea of deploying a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine was discussed as one of the safeguards against a new Russian attack. Zelensky said that he already sees positive response from some leaders. The security spokesman for Germany's main opposition party, the CDU, Roderick Kieswetter, believes that Germany, as the country with the largest economy in the EU, should participate in a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine if one is formed after the war. It was also recently reported that British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will visit Ukraine in the coming weeks to discuss the possibility of deploying international peacekeeping forces there after the war with Russia ends. Critic of Ukraine and advocate of cooperation with Russia, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico signed an open letter to the President of Ukraine, inviting him to a meeting to resolve the gas transit issues, reports LBUA. From the 1st of January, Ukraine stopped transit of the Russian gas via its territory, which caused additional tensions with Slovakia, who was a recipient of the large portion of this gas. Fico stated he had no intention of further escalating tensions and wished to focus entirely on resolving the issue related to the suspension of transit. Fico proposed holding the meeting on Slovak territory near the border with Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky accepted Slovak Prime Minister's invitation to meet, but with a condition. He wants Fico to visit Kyiv on Friday, 17th of January. Recently, Fico harshly criticized Ukraine as an unreliable partner, expressing frustration over what he described as Zelensky's habit of traveling across Europe, begging and blackmailing others. Zelensky offered a sharp retort to Fico's remarks. Quote, it's good that Slovakia's Prime Minister Fico has finally returned from his vacation at a luxurious hotel in Vietnam and is now in Bratislava. For him personally, it must be challenging switching from living in luxury to now trying to fix his own mistakes, unquote. Zelensky criticized the Slovak Prime Minister's reliance on shadow schemes in cooperation with Russia, calling it an obvious mistake. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We're a commercial initiative of just two people, and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.